What's going on? It's TJ from The Ongoing Concept, and you are listening to Breakdowns for Breakfast.
Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Breakdowns for Breakfast. I am your host, Danger, and joining me is a fellow that I cannot properly break down an album without, your co-host, Monster. Say hi, Monster.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm very fine. I'm ready to get pretty wild today.
Are you?
I am.
Okay. Well, because we are here to talk about the Pretty Wild, their album 0.Genius, that was released November 21st, 2025.
0.Genesis.
Genesis. Yeah. Sorry.
I like your version better.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. 0.Genesis.
You said it with such confidence.
I did.
I love it.
Because I actually wrote the wrong thing in one place. Yeah. Okay. So my notes are a little bit out of whack there, but the album is called 0.Genesis. And it was released November 21st, 2025. Now, I question that because I also found on what the A to Z lyrics or whatever that it was released in May of 25. And it's like, that doesn't sound right. But I know that they were releasing songs from this album all along the way.
Yeah.
All before. I heard quite a few of these songs before they ever got released. In fact, there's one track that's not on this streaming. It is on physical, but we'll get there. But where are you on the Pretty Wild?
So I had heard a song or two by this band before, and I didn't give it a whole lot of thought. It just, I distinctly remember one time driving back from the beach with the family. Everybody fell asleep. Before Mrs. Monster did, she put it on like a playlist that had Sleep Token and Bad Omens and all that stuff. And the Pretty Wild popped up on there a couple times and it fit with everything else. And was like, okay, that's fine. So this is the first time I actually sat down and like listened to it deliberately. And I gotta tell you, man, pretty happy.
I figured you would be because there's a whole lot of new within this.
Oh, it's a lot of new.
It is a lot of new. So, okay, I have that they blend new metal, metalcore, gent, theatrical elements, and melodic vocals with aggressive screams.
Okay.
Yeah, all that's in there with a little dash of nursery rhyme.
Yes, it has this sort of gothic sort of extra layer to it with the production, with the strings and the music box stuff.
It's very cinematic.
It is. So let me get two things out of the way right now. I think the production is a little bit too much. And I think,
I'll agree.
think some of the songs, like when you listen to them back to back to back to back, can get a little bit repetitive. Now
yes.
that I got those two things out of the way, I am going to gush this episode because other than those two little things, I really, really like this.
I figured you would. And okay, so this was one that, like I said, I've, been listening to them off and on, and it's really just a song here and then, listen to a bunch of other stuff and then another song pops up and then listen to a bunch of other stuff. And so it's just kind of, things turn in. Now I can tell you that there are two songs on this album that, the playlist that I have for the girls, whenever they hear a song that they like, can you put that on our playlist? And so, two of the songs off of this album ended up on that playlist.
I wonder if it's the two that really stuck with me because there's this whole album. There's a lot of stuff I like, but there's two songs in particular that I was like, ooh, I'm in the feels.
I don't know if they were. I'm going to guess that one of them probably is.
Perfect.
So where I was on this is that I am great. Like, I think every song here is good, but I don't think that this was written as an album. I think this was just written as a collection of the best songs. In fact, the track listing is all out of whack. I would have completely rearranged the entire thing.
Okay, so it's funny you would say that because for a couple of reasons, this was reminding me a little bit of Falling in Reverse. And part of it was because I knew a lot of these songs had already been released. And again, I hadn't been really following them, so I didn't get burned out on any of these or anything. But I actually thought they did a good job of putting it together in an order that made sense. I do think that like I said, I also agree that these songs were recorded basically as individual singles that they made into an album. But I do think there is a little bit of rhyme and reason to the track listing, the way it's presented.
So I'm really curious as to why you think that. I definitely don't think that I think the opening track actually works great as an opening track. Absolutely. But I think the closing track should have been in a different place on this album. I think every song here works as an album, but I also know that there are two songs that kind of work together in just their lyrical content and whatnot, just kind of tell an overall story arc. And I kind of wish those songs had been put, back to back to kind of, complete that there instead of, starting it here and then giving us the closing part of the storyline way down the road. Cool. I mean, I think it's cool when bands do that, but at the same time, I kind of wish they had changed it around.
I didn't pick up on, there was a couple songs where the lyrics did jump out at me, and I've got one or two parts that I've got written down, but I didn't notice that particular scenario. But for example, and we'll get into it when we do the song by song, but 3 or 4 songs in, I was specifically when we got to track 5, I was track 5 needs to do this or that to keep the rhythm of this album going in the right direction. And it did what I thought it should do. I feel like pacing was thought out. And I personally think the last track was the perfect choice for the last track of the album. And yes, the opening track, I mean, as far as intros go, that's about as good of an opening moment to an album as you can have for this kind of music.
Yeah, and we'll definitely jump on that when we do get into the tracks, but was definitely not expecting the way that it opened. Okay, so having heard this band leading up to the album, I kind of knew what to expect. And so, I think that kind of made me comfortable within it. But at the same time, I got tired of this towards the end. And I think that started to affect my score. And I actually went back and listened to this in a different order. Mm-hmm. And I kind of felt like once I got to the point of listening to it in a different order, I kind of knew what was coming. And it was just, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, every song, most songs have a formula, and it's one of those where it's you got a good intro, you got your first verse, you got a big chorus, your second verse is going to be slightly different than your first verse, then you're going to have another chorus, then you're going to have a breakdown, and then you're going to have another chorus, and with slight variations here or there. And so it's yes, it becomes predictable, but even within that formula, they still manage to do little things here or there that keep it interesting. There's a couple of parts where it's I know there's a breakdown coming. We all know the breakdown's coming. But instead of going right into it, they'll give you a little sound clip, or they'll pause for a second before it goes into it. The only thing that I don't like is usually when it goes into it, it starts off great, but then the production gets in the way. And instead of just locking into some guitars and drums and a nice groove, we get guitar, drums, groove, synthesizers, strings, 4 vocal layers. And it's everything's happening at once.
Yeah, it's they break down and push all chips in.
Yeah. And doing that a couple of times here or there is great, but it's almost every song. So it does get eventually, like you said, it does kind of get repetitive, but again, a normal human being that's on an hour-long car drive and they're going to listen to this album one time from start to finish, nah, it never bothered me. I never got sick of it. I never got overly bored with it, or it never got overly repetitive.
So yeah, it is a thing where they do push all chips in. And it's very noticeable, towards the end, that's kind of their formula of things. And the little sound clips that happen are neat for a time period. And I think part of that goes into how we do the show, where it's okay, you're going to do this every time. And the thing is that when you go and listen to other songs that aren't on this album, they still have it. Mm-hmm. They're still there. Now, I do wonder if the producer on this it's a guy named Andrew Wade, and he's produced albums for Day to Remember, Hardy, Magnolia Park, which is appropriate here, Marshmallow, Ilium, Josh A, Neck Deep, Wage War, Real Friends, Motionless in White, The Ghost Inside, and Attila. But then he's also produced a lot of The Pretty Wild. and a lot of the songs are not on this album. And I kind of wonder if, he is saying, you guys do this thing. It's going to really set you apart. Well, the thing that sets them apart is that they are a female fronted metal band. I don't know. Like, I don't even know what you would kind of put this in because they've mixed so many things in, but they're a female fronted heavy band that's not Evanescence, because I think every female fronted heavy band gets compared to Evanescence in some way. And, I don't know if that's his thing or if that's their thing that they want to put in.
I don't really know how to say it, but it's almost like the production is the part that hurts this, because to me, they do sound very unique. I definitely put them in that.
I will agree with that.
I put them in that metalcore category, but there is a lot more just straight up new metal happening here. But I think what really gets them lumped into that modern metalcore sound is the way this is produced, the way it's mixed. It has those kind of flourishes. Whereas, dude, I would love to hear this with somebody like Howard Benson or Ross Robinson, or like one of those guys that has things a little bit more raw. Okay, for as unhinged as some of the screaming and vocals get on this record, I would love to hear it like even more so. Less dialed in, less distortion on the vocal envelope, and just let her go off, because I love the way both of these girls scream. In fact, I was trying to, as I was listening, I was looking at the two of them and I watched some of the music videos and I was like, okay, which one's doing the screaming? Okay, they both scream. Okay, which one's doing the singing? Okay, they both sing. But I do know who my favorite is, because she's the one who raps. And there should be more rapping on this album. I am bummed that it only comes up a couple times, because she rules at rapping.
Yeah, as soon as I heard the rapping part, I was like, oh, Monster's going to be happy now.
Yes.
Now we have fully cemented on the new metal of things. But no, there's new metal elements scattered throughout. And what I will say is, for them balancing, or for them putting all of these things in, the songs do feel well balanced to an extent. Mm. Towards the end of the breakdown, it does start to get a little bit heavy on things. And I do have an issue with the way that they wrap some things up at different times and all, but I'm going to get nitpicky on this one because I do like this album. I don't think I love this album as much as I did the first time. Right. Because the first time around, I was like, oh, this is a really cool, this is different. I like this. But then after a while, it was just, okay, I know what we're doing here. I never minded going back to this one and putting it on.
Right.
But at the same time, I was never, or I don't want to say I was never, but wasn't really looking forward to it either.
I don't know.
It's fine.
I really, really like this. I definitely have my nitpicks too. And just because of the nature of this show, I'm going to point every single one of them out. But with that being said, generally speaking, like if I was just casually listening, I love this. Like, this is right up my alley. I do have a couple of issues here or there that we've already discussed, but just generally speaking, I like this style of music. I like the mix of the heavy riffs. There's a lot of bounce and groove in the rhythms. I think both of these vocalists are phenomenally talented. I think for as much talk that gets made about Courtney LaPlante and Poppy, I feel like these two are right up there, and I never see them get mentioned. And I don't think it's fair, because both of them have a lot of range. They can scream. Like I said, there's some rapping. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff going on.
Well, this is their debut album. And yes, they had some singles and things out beforehand, but I think this is really them stepping out of kind of what has been before for them, I guess.
Yeah.
It's really kind of stepping away from, and I know that their album, Sleepwalker, which is the hidden track on this, not hidden, excuse me. It's on the physical release of this album. It's not on streaming.
I saw it pop
but the song is on streaming.
Yeah, I saw it pop up like on YouTube when I was watching the videos, and I just skipped over it because I was like, it's not on this album. I'll listen to it another time. And it sounds like I probably should have listened to it.
Sleepwalker's a good song. I actually really like Sleepwalker.
Okay.
It's, I definitely think you should check that one out. But no, okay, so we were talking about this the other night when we were talking about this album, and we were going to do it and talking about The Pretty Wild. They've definitely like picked up steam. I think when I brought them up to you, I looked to see what their monthly listeners were, and they were at like 90,000. and they're a bit past that now.
Good. They should be.
Yeah. Yeah. They're a bit past it because they're now at 657,000 monthly listeners. And they're currently on tour with Sleep Theory, and they're in London right now.
You know, and I make this comment later on, but I've listened to some of these bands that they're opening for, and they're on a couple of those great big, like 3-4 day festival things. And I guarantee on most of them, they're playing at like 2 in the afternoon. Bullshit. Like, that sucks. They don't deserve that. They should be. I hope this time next year they've got a better slot. They deserve it.
Well, you know, it's like in 2022, I think it was, at Blue Ridge, Sleep Token played, I think, the 2:00 slot. And then the following year, the last year of Blue Ridge, they played at dusk. And it was perfect timing for it. Yeah. You know, when they took the stage, the sun had already started going down, so it was getting dark. And by the time they finished their set, it was completely dark. And so it was cool.
And I don't know that they will ever reach a level like Sleep Token. Most bands never will. But I do think there's some crossover appeal here. I actually was texting with a friend of mine today, and he sent me a song he wanted me to listen to by Halsey. And I was listening to it, and I was like, listen to this. And I sent him one of the songs off of this, and he was like, oh, I love that. I think there is this like pop crossover possibility here with this band for sure.
Oh yeah, no, I know I listed off what they've mixed in here, but I think something that was missed along with the nursery rhyme sounds that we do get is there's pop sensibilities all throughout this album. You know, there's definitely an awareness of pop within this that cannot be ignored. And I definitely think that's definitely going to be something that carries them over. I do think that, you know, the parts of these songs that are a bit prettier and are a bit more melodic are going to be the things that stick out to people, and, you know, they're going to want to listen to. And then they're going to be slaughtered as the song goes on.
It's the same as Sleep Token. You know, it's the same as like when songs like Caramel became huge. And it was like, yeah, because for 85% of this song, it's this close to being a Justin Bieber song. Like it's mostly piano, trap beat, and vocals. And then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. At least with The Pretty Wild, it's a rock band. It never stops being an aggressive rock band. It's just on occasion, it's heavier or it's more melodic. It never goes into full pop territory. Because of their vocals, especially the clean vocals, it lends itself to that more. But no, it's its own thing. And yeah, dude, like there's so much about this I like.
All right. So I do want to talk about the two ladies that we see, and I couldn't find who else was on this album. I couldn't find who the musicians were. I just saw that Andrew Wade was a composer and he lent his hand to some of the instrumentation, but the Pretty Wild are two sisters, Jill, and that's spelled J-Y-L, and if she was Hispanic, it'd be Yil. But anyway, so Jill and Jules Wild is their last name. Now, I don't know if that's actually their last name. So I can tell you that they have been performing music together since they were about 11. And
that's awesome.
They moved out to Las Vegas, where they're based out of now. And I believe they moved from Michigan. I didn't write that note.
Are they twins or just sisters?
I just saw their sisters. I didn't see their twins.
Yeah, I think
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt if they were twins, but, you know, I do know that when they got to Las Vegas, where they wanted to pursue music in some way, they started singing in, you know, casinos and stuff, and were covering pop songs. And then they said they got really bored with it, and they would slip in one of their songs once in a while, and then they kind of stepped out and did the Pretty Wild thing. So that's pretty much the history of how we got here.
What now?
The Pretty Wild thing.
The Pretty Wild thing.
Yeah. Yes.
I
knew exactly.
You heard it.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew exactly what it was.
So,
all right.
What I will say is, no offense to Jules. She's extremely talented. Jill's my favorite. She raps. She does martial arts and gymnastics. Like I looked them up on Instagram, and I feel like when I watch the music videos and I look at their Instagram page, I feel like Jill's just a little more unhinged, and I like that.
And okay, so Jules is fine. I mean, I don't have an issue. I don't have a favorite of either one of them, but I am impressed by the fact that Jill does it in late 90s, early 2000s, adjacent to Jinko's pants with buckles and yeah,
exactly.
She does all that.
She's wearing Jinkos doing like backflips while screaming.
Right.
Like, yes, more of that, please.
All right. So before we jump into the track listing of things, I'm just going to really quick read a statement from Jules.
Okay.
And she said this record is layered with multiple dimensions of interpretation. The more you listen, the further you traverse through them with us. We pushed into concepts that once felt untouchable to us. We set external input aside and wrote them anyway. It's an album of poetic contrasts, brutally heavy moments with haunting instrumentation and layered and flawed open lyrics. Woven throughout are nods to our personal interest, theatrical elements, classical composition, and moments of rage and playfulness. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that all of those things add to make this not just another metalcore album. Because if I had to put this under one umbrella, it would have to be metalcore. But yeah, it's so much more than that.
It really is. Like on its surface, it's easy to pass off as just being another metalcore band, a female-fronted metalcore band, because you're seeing more and more of those pop up. But there really is more to this. And to be honest, if I had not listened to this as much as I had, I wouldn't have picked up on that. And I didn't take a whole lot of notes about the lyrics throughout these songs, but the lyrics are worth reading. You know, there are some things in it that are good. And then also you just can't understand what the lyrics are with some of the screaming at times, but it's definitely worth it to sit down with this album and read it.
Yeah, I agree. There are a couple lyrics that did stand out to me, and I do have some of that written down. But yeah, overall, I was having too much fun nodding my head, making the stink face to make a note about too many of the lyrics.
Yeah, I had a feeling that you were going to be in that place. So, all right, let's talk about track 1, Paradox. Now, I was actually listening to this song in the car earlier. I was listening to this album in the car earlier because the girls are always wondering what we're doing on the show. And so I always played, not always, but most of the time I play what we're listening to. And so I played this, and the way she sings Paradox in the chorus, which I know I'm jumping past the intro and whatnot, we'll get there. But the way she sings Paradox in the chorus, I realized, like, because I know what the song is, and I could put together the grammar of caught in a paradox, like she says. Caught in a paradise does not make sense, but it sounds like she says paradise. And I just thought it was funny because one of the girls was like, "This song's called Paradise." I'm like, "No, it's not."
I love Korn, and I don't think Jonathan Davis knows how to say me. Like, it's always been part of me. Part of me. Like, what? Part of what month?
Yeah, which I'm pretty sure that's where Justin Timberlake got his pronunciation.
Absolutely. He's copying Korn. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about that intro.
Yes, please.
Because, all right, so when I first played this one, I had not heard Paradox. And when it started, I was not expecting to hear Tear Off My Skin, Rip It Off. Tear off my skin, rip it off! Screamed at me. Just screamed at me.
Okay, so first of all, that would be Jill in all of her unhinged glory. And in like 1 second, I had 1 second to think, oh God, what's going to happen? Because I thought one of two things, it was either going to go into a very straightforward heavy metal, bunch of screaming, really fast chugs, and I was going to be like, okay, that's fine. But instead, it goes into this like hip hop beat groove. And I was like, there it is. That's what I wanted. Thank you. Actually, you know what? My absolute first thought was, is Danger flirting with me right now? Like, did he send me this? Like, hey, you know what? I think, hey, this is for you, baby.
Yeah, no, I did pick this. It was not a mating move, but you know,
Because it worked.
Oh, stop it. Okay, so the hip hop groove you're talking about, I don't feel like it was a hip hop groove. I feel like it was a brutal hip hop groove because it's just it's a metalcore, new metal.
Yes, it was
Metalcore.
new metal. It didn't go to 4 on the floor, pop to pop.
It's
pop,
new core.
pop. Right. And but that's what I was afraid of, was it was going to jump into a Memphis Mayfire style, like, you know, that kind of a beat. But instead it goes to that bouncy beat. Now I will say most of these songs have a similar vibe where the verses are pretty screamy and then the chorus is big and clean. I wasn't wowed by this chorus. Like it was the right move. I enjoyed it, but I really liked the intro. The verse was cool. The chorus was cool, but it was the second verse that starts around 105.
150.
In the chaos, I find peace on emptiness. I feel insecurities flooding my brain, normalizing feeding the pain, inherited trauma to my DNA, and I'm taking advice from the doing of me.
Oh, I've got 150. I thought you were talking about the rap part.
That is
Like
what I'm talking
the
about.
full
Yes.
on. Yeah, I got 150. I may have just been completely off of my time on that one, but yeah, the full on rap part.
Yes, the full-on rap part that I have pulled up right here that starts at 105.
Okay, maybe I just transposed my 50. But anyway.
I think you did. It's easy to do that on 0.Genius. So
yeah.
So in my notes, because I try to get this on at least every album at some point, I wrote, yes, inject it into my veins.
Yeah. So I knew as soon as it happened, I was like, oh, Monster's just feeling all warm and cozy now.
Oh, man, I love it.
But it's like, I don't love the rap part, but it's almost so quick, I don't mind it being there. But I think the part about this song that actually hurt it the most to me was how it didn't just move on being that brutal new core.
Right.
I'm going to stick with new core. Yeah. In new core. It didn't just move on that. It didn't play within that. It was like it would just stop for these like nursery rhyme breaks.
Right. And I like some of that.
Right.
I think it gets a
Some of
little
it.
heavy-handed at certain points.
Yes.
But again, first track, you know, like you said, I know I had heard a song or two in passing, but I didn't pay much attention to it. So just going along for the ride on the first song, I do think this is a really good opening track because, first of all, the way she starts the song is perfect. But then this gives you a little bit of everything.
You like being told to tear off her skin? Rip it off?
When it's being delivered that way, especially in the video where her eyes are like bugging out of her face, like, God, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that.
I didn't watch this video.
Out of control.
I've seen their videos, but maybe I did see this one. I'm not sure, but I don't know. If it was track 4, then that might be a little bit of a problem.
Yeah. So most of their videos are predominantly just performance shots.
You're just going to move right past my foreskin comment.
Well, you said track 4? I didn't, what?
Yeah, I said if this was track 4, and it'd be like, rip off.
Okay. You know what? I did ignore that. And I wish I hadn't pedaled back. I wish I would have kept going.
It's fine. I wish you had too. Keep going.
So what I was trying to say was most of these music videos are predominantly performance shots. And what I really like about them is, for as simple as they are, it's mostly, like I said, just close-ups of the two of them with some shots of a guitar player and a drummer. They are
Probably
always
never the same between videos. I don't know. That's actually something I really should have paid more attention to.
Same. I didn't even think about it. But they are always really dolled up. They've got like, sometimes they have almost like, I don't say costumes, but again, to kind of go along with sort of the gothic nursery rhyme thing. Sometimes they have like ball gowns and stuff on, and they're like really well done makeup. Like they look very professionally done up, very pretty. And then, like I said, this song starts and her eyes are bugging out of her head and she's like practically spitting. And it's like, yes, like that's so, because like for as much as I like Scene Queen, I think Scene Queen is really cool. I've talked about her on other episodes. I never see her go this out of control. And I like that.
Okay. Let's talk about 2:13.
Yes, let's do that.
We're back. Summon the reckoning.
This is the first time that we have gotten one of the clips.
Yes.
This is where we get the clip, "We're back," which I know that's not how she says it, but whenever I hear that, I just kind of go into the poltergeist.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. They're here.
Right. I know it's not there, but yeah, but it was fun on the first one. I started to feel like it was kind of, I don't want to say a crutch, but it was almost a go-to move for them. And that began to hurt things as it moved on. But I mean, I enjoyed it here. I enjoyed it pretty much every time it happened. But after listening to this repeatedly, it was like, what are you guys trying to do here?
Again, I think it's obvious a breakdown is coming. They do that amen breakbeat with the, that every song has, and it's just building and building, and you feel it coming. But instead of just launching right into it, they hit you with that little pause with the "we're back," and then it jumps in. And so I do like sort of the bumpiness of that. Like, it is smooth, but it feels a little bit goofy. But here's the thing. When it does actually hit, it's just so overstuffed. And that's the part where I get like, that's my biggest hang up, is that I love what they're doing. But when that breakdown hits, I would much prefer it to be guitar, bass, drum. And if you're going to have some little synthy stings or little orchestra, like ups and downs, sure. But it's just like, there's so much shit crammed in there that you sort of like, it just sounds like, and you can't, it's hard to like lock your head in and just go with it.
Yeah, it's just, they do everything all at once. And it's almost like it was so much there, it was hard to kind of distinguish the parts from each other. Right. It was almost like if they had kind of let one thing go at a time and, let the breakdown build before that, I think we would have lost the punch of it. But it's almost like if it would have hit and then those things would have built on top of it, maybe. I don't know what the way to go about that is, because it's cool, but it was around that 2:13 where I went, okay, I get what you're doing here, but what I want to ask about the "we're back" part, I don't feel like somebody can put a clip like "we're back" in the opening track of their debut album. I feel like that's something you should wait until maybe like your third or fourth album and you've taken a couple years off, and then you put out another album and the first track has a "we're back" in it. Because before this, it's like, were you here before or what? Like, yeah, I don't know.
So without doing a whole lot of digging, it looks like they put out their first single in 2022. And so they've been putting out singles since then. It looks like a couple, a year. And then they like you said, they released a whole bunch of these songs. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at it now. It looks like, they released like 5 or 6 of these songs before the actual album came out.
Right.
But I don't know. I guess I was just in it. Like, I was just along for the ride, and it didn't bother me. I get what you're saying too, but say it, do it, be all ballsy about it. I like it.
No, and I have no problem with it, but it was just kind of upon like kind of digging this one more and seems like, okay, came out in 2025 and they hadn't released an album before this. This was their debut album.
Yeah, I get
don't
that.
know if that's an appropriate move there. So I don't know. It's like when you hear little kids, like he says, like, 10-year-old kid says, "When I was a kid," it's like, you're still a kid.
Sure.
Yeah. Makes you want to pitch their head off. Anyway, track 2, 0.Genesis.
You nailed it. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Okay. So one of the things I do want to, kind of talk about is we've talked about plenty of times how bands have a tendency to make their songs go on too long. I didn't feel like any of these songs were too long.
Not at all.
I did feel like, cutting them a little bit shorter wouldn't hurt, but I didn't really feel like they were too long by any means. I mean, that first track is 3 minutes, 20 seconds. This one is 3 minutes, 31 seconds. That's a song length to me. Like that is a good song length to me.
And I was going to say, me personally, I would have liked them to go back to that heavy opening riff at the end of Paradox, but then you are getting into the 330, 340 length, which is, I still think is fine. I don't know. It felt like the ending on that one was a little bit abrupt, actually.
Okay. So speaking of the ending, that one being abrupt, let's start with this song and how the opening to this song is, if it is an actual violin, I don't feel like it sounds like an actual violin because it just sounds like a synth violin. I think it's fine.
Yeah, so I don't know, like when it first starts and she's screaming with the violin, I don't love that.
I know you don't love it when they scream over the pretty things.
Yeah. It does have that heavy, chuggy guitar, and, actually later on in the song, it was actually giving me huge Skillet vibes. Not so much when she's screaming, but when it's just the music and you got those, like, chuggy power chords with the violin sound, that reminded me a lot of, later day Skillet stuff, which, I like a lot of that, so I wasn't mad about that.
Maybe I didn't pick up on the Skillet of it all because I don't like Skillet, but that's yours and mine, and I've seen them Skillet live, and it's just very okay.
So that's Mrs. Monster's, if not favorite band, in her top 3. So we've seen them live a few times, and they had a run of albums like Collide, Comatose, Rise. Like there's 3 or 4 albums in a row right in the middle that I think are solid. Everything before that's a little disjointed, and everything after that feels a little bit too, I don't know, formulaic or predictable or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We're not talking about Skillet. This song rocks. I don't love it, but it's still really good. I think the chorus on this one is a little stronger than the chorus on the first one.
I think the chorus on this song is the best part of it. I genuinely love the chorus here. But I do love how we bring it down after the chorus.
I like that too.
And we get a dropout right before it gets big. And that's fun to me.
Now, you said the chorus was the best part. The chorus is the second best part because.
Okay, so hold on. Let me predict where we're going here. Okay, so I think the chorus is the best part here because it's this band knows how to hook.
Absolutely,
they hook for days. Yeah, but then in listening to this song and really like kind of picking it apart because listening to the background a couple times, I recognized when the bridge happened, but I'm gonna guess the bridge is your favorite part because of those scratches.
So at 2:17,
yeah.
when Miss Unhinged comes in with "Don't F with Me,"
as a matter of relativity, I can't be created or destroyed. Don't fuck with me.
The very first part of that breakdown is the kind of breakdown I like because it's predominantly guitar, bass, and drum. There is some scratching, there is some production, but you can actually hear the breakdown getting more convoluted as it goes.
Don't fuck with me.
The first couple measures, perfect. And then it starts adding more strings and more production, and it starts to lose me a little bit. I still think it's cool. I love the call out before it goes into it. I'm old school, I mean, like I don't need 16 layers to make me feel something. Just give me the basics and really, really hit it, and I'm good.
Okay, so I do want to go back to talk about the chorus for a second, because I do feel like this was a chorus that, like, this song is meant to be played live, because there's a call and response to the chorus.
Yeah.
Which I think was cool, but it was one of those things where it just worked really well on the album, but I do think it would work really well live as well. So
I agree. I also like the outro.
Yeah, let's talk about that outro.
Yeah, it was giving me kind of Danny Elfman vibes. Like I could see that being in like an episode of Wednesday Addams or during the new Beetlejuice or something like that. It had that sort of vibe to me.
Okay, so I felt like with the outro, they were trying to go back to that violin sound at the beginning, but it wasn't the same sound. It's a lot more like 16th century harpsichord, and I think it goes on too long. Personally, I think they could have probably cut it in half, because the outro kind of comes out of nowhere, because we, go out of that bridge into a breakdown that should make men's knees weak, but we do get other chords after that, and then it goes heavy for a bit, and then we get that outro, and like I said, it just kind of comes out of nowhere. And I would be more forgiving if I felt like, and we've talked about this before, I'd be more forgiving if it worked into the next song. And that's one of the complaints I have on a lot of these, is I don't feel like the outro songs are needed for the song, and I don't feel like they work with the next song.
Well, to your point about the violin sound at the beginning of the song, feels sort of synthy, doesn't feel very natural. So I actually kind of like this violin because it does sound more like an actual violin to me. And I don't know, because that bridge is so aggressive, I don't mind them kind of going out in sort of this, I don't want to say whimsical, but this sort of fairy tale-esque kind of sound.
I didn't mind it, but at the same time, I didn't need it there. I didn't feel like it was necessary.
That makes sense, yeah. I don't mind it, but it's not like something I'm looking forward to.
Right. All right, let's talk about track 3, Living Dead. Now that is dead spelt D-E-D.
Yeah, there's a lot of choices with the track listing, the way they're spelled. Some are capitalized, some words aren't, some are spelled right, some have weird capitalization. I don't know if it has any purpose or not, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. And okay, so just to kind of roll through it, Paradox is in all caps, 0.Genius. Yeah, I did that one for you.
Thank you.
But 0.Genesis, the name of the album and the song, it's all one word with periods between the words. And then Living Dead is DED.
Yep.
I didn't feel like there was a need for it. I don't feel like there was anything that kind of related back to that, but I thought it was just kind of fun.
Speaking of which,
that may have been the purpose of it.
There is a band called Dead, spelled D-E-D, and they're really good.
Okay.
Just throwing that out there.
All right. So, I almost expected this to be a pure hip hop track with that intro.
I'm so glad it wasn't.
Oh no, it goes heavy quick. It's a heavier synth driven track, to the core.
So this is what I was saying before about how, yes, this album does get repetitive at times, but they do stuff like we were talking about the track listing. This is a good time for this because the intro starts, you're right. It has kind of this trap beat kind of sound. And then this heavy guitar comes in and it's real kind of not draggy, but real slow tempo. But then when the verse kicks in, you can hear the doop, doop, doop starting. And then at 38 seconds, it goes straight into a dance beat. And 100% into it.
This one's dancey, and I really wasn't, it's got danceable rhythms all throughout it, or not all throughout it, but, a good chunk of it. And that's kind of one of the things that confused me about this album was I wasn't expecting to feel like I should dance, but it was fun here. It worked within it.
Absolutely.
And I kind of feel like this is, an electro pop metalcore song.
This was
cool.
Yes. Again, talking about the stuff that I like, I love, bands like Bad Omens and Silent Planet and those bands you've shown me, those guitar tones and those riffs. Dig that. I also love Lady Gaga and Demi Lovato and stuff like that. So when it went into that dance club beat.
So this is a marriage of that.
Yes. So this totally works for me. And I love that they never abandon either. Cause like, so after we got the dancey verse, the chorus is dancey still, but you bring back the heavy guitars. And then at 122 after the chorus, they go back to that opening riff. So they cut it back into mid tempo. And perfect pacing of this song. Like, I love that we're dancing, but then we're chugging right after it. And I thought the verses and the choruses of this song, I think, are fantastic.
Okay, so when did you say that dancey rhythm started?
It's about 30. Well, okay, so as soon as the verse starts, like as soon as her voice comes in, the kick drum is there. But it's at about 38 seconds or so when it goes full on dance beat.
So what I thought was interesting about it is it's got a dancey rhythm to it, and it's a lot of fun. I love her. I feel like the pre-chorus was a star on this song. I love the pre-chorus here. And I do feel like her, the way she does the chorus is great, but probably the part that stuck out to me the most was at 120, there's a growl and a synth line afterwards. It just feels dark. So that made me wonder, is this like a graveyard dance song? Like it felt, I don't know. I found somebody that said that, I found a review of this online that said, this is a glitchy dance song.
Yeah. And
I don't know. It's kind of all those things, and I don't mind any of it.
No. And I think it's one of those things where the imagery has a lot to do with it. It's like, what these girls look like. The color palette that they use for the album cover, and there's a lot of dark blues and blacks. So I feel like that kind of paints the mood and vibe of the song. Whereas if you didn't have all that, would this feel more like a poppy dancey song and not so dark and like eerie? But then they go into more of the dark and eerie stuff for the bridge and the breakdown. And that's where it kind of falls apart for me a little bit.
So I kind of feel like, and this might just be me, but I do feel like the breakdown and after the bridges stuff is fine, because I think the bridges on this album are a lot of fun. The bridge here, they brought it down with that violin at 229. Yeah. And it was just kind of that. And so it gave you a break. We've talked plenty about dynamics, and this band gives dynamics everywhere, but I do feel like I do wish they gave us more dynamics within the track listing itself. But, they brought out that violin, and then they hit you with that breakdown. Cool. I understand what they're going for there, but I almost feel like that is the move of the producer, Morand, because he's worked with, tons of bands that do breakdowns and all.
Right.
And I wonder if that's kind of him going, hey, we should do this here. And them going, okay, but we've done this really cool thing all throughout, and so we're going to try to maintain our identity within it. And I feel like they do, but it's almost like you've said plenty of times, the production just muddies it up.
That move to me felt like we have to do this. It didn't feel organic. This song felt very unique to the first two. And then all of a sudden it was, they like remembered, oh, we have to put this breakdown in here. Whereas this song didn't need that. Like, this song was doing fine on its own. Those other two songs were doing fine on their own as well. What were we saying? We were like, we like the verse, we kind of like the chorus, whatever. And then it builds to this big bridge section where this one's like, the verses are fun, the chorus is great, the pre-chorus is good. So then having a quote unquote breakdown just seems kind of unnecessary. I would have much preferred them to just bring it down with the violin section or the little like music box kind of section for a little less time than it goes, and then just go back to the chorus or something. I felt like, as much as I like her screams and those really heavy riffs, I just felt like this song didn't need that.
I kind of feel like a thing that would have been cool there is to, I didn't have a problem with the length of the violin. I actually feel like the length of it was perfectly fine. But then, kind of bring in that rhythm again and then slowly build up your instruments to what it was before that, that bridge, and then go back to the chorus and all. I think that would have been a fine thing because it was, upon listening intently with, taking notes and all, I started going, all right, I know when these things are going to happen. I know when it's going to happen. Like it's going to be after that bridge. Fine. But do we need this one here? And at a certain point, a lot of things kind of started, I don't know, want to say blending together, but running together. Cause it's like, you've created a really good 9-track album, but you gave me 11 tracks and that muddied the waters.
Yeah. Like I think this song is a banger and it's one of my top probably 3 or 4 on the album. I just think that part was unnecessary and they could have done something. This song already stands out from a lot of the others. They could have done something there to further that instead of trying to, I mean, I get it. They're trying to bring it into the album. Like we do these breakdowns in almost every song, so we have to put it here. But no, you don't. You don't really have to. You can leave it out of.
You can make the choice to not do it. So I want to ask you, is that one of the songs where I told you that 2 of the songs on this album ended up on the girls' playlist? Is this one of the ones? No. Okay. All right. Let's talk about track 4, Button Eyes.
But this one is.
Yep. And this one's on the playlist.
Yes. You know why?
Because it sounds like if Tim Burton wrote a song for Bring Me the Horizon.
Sure. I'm not familiar enough with Bring Me the Horizon to agree or disagree. But what I can say is this is tied for the best song on the album because this song rules.
Now, this song is a lot of fun, and this was one of the ones that I heard a few times before this album, and partially because it did end up on the girls' playlist, and we have listened to that several times. But it's one of those, like, I'm glad you put this on the playlist because this one's fun. Yeah,
dude. When this song started, I was like, okay, we're back to sort of that mid-tempo thing. But when she comes in with her vocals, the rhythm that she's doing it at has so much swagger and confidence. That it's like, I was getting huge, like, Tyler Carter, Johnny Craig, like that sort of mentality, but coming out of her voice gave it this completely unique flavor. And yes, I actually have in my notes. It was funny. I've said this on the show before. A lot of times when I do these albums, my very first listen, I take notes as I go so I can write down my very first impression. I was 2 minutes into this song before I wrote anything down because I couldn't stop moving. Like I couldn't stop and focus because I was so much into this. I loved it.
No, this is a fun song, and it might be the Button Eyes part of things. But this movie sounds like, or this song sounds like the movie Coraline.
Oh, I absolutely was getting Coraline vibes from everything. But yes, Button Eyes doesn't hurt.
No. And I did have issues with taking notes on this because I kind of had the same thing that you did where I was just enjoying the song more. And there were a few parts in this album that I was kind of feeling that same way where I was like, I'm just really enjoying being here. And
yes,
so I'm just going to enjoy the song. But no, what's funny is that you have probably gotten more excited about this song, and I think this may be the creepiest song on the album, but it's fun. And the kids in the choir of kids doesn't hurt the creepiness of the song at all.
Yeah, the chorus is really, really good with those backing vocals. Again, the verses are just butter. They are just money in the bank. I've said this about other bands and other albums and stuff. In a perfect world, if the radio was fair, this would be a hit song. This would be on pop stations. It's so good.
No, I do feel like that this is a band that, you know, people that are looking for more than Octane have kind of like, they've kind of run their Octane tank, full dry. I don't know. But it's like they want something a little bit bigger. And so this is what kind of, you know, introduces them to it. And I think it's because of what I was talking before about like the pop sensibilities throughout this album.
Yes.
Where they're able to kind of grab onto those moments and it's okay. And then also the new elements within this are, you know, very friendly to Octane.
And this is the perfect example of the breakdown that works like $1 million because
all right.
This
Let at 2:20.
Yes.
A nursery rhyme starts. And that's what I feel like the actual bridge to this song.
Yes.
Just a nursery rhyme, which doesn't make it less creepy, but it also, you know, has a whimsical element to it.
But it feels like it's building to something.
Right. But it's like, oh, this is fun. We're going to have a good time here. And then what happens, Monster?
She screams, cut out the parasite, and the baddest, assiest riff ever kicks in. I'm all in, and then there's this little pause at 2:40 where everything cuts out and she screams, cut it. And I'm like on the floor. Like I'm laying on the floor and I'm opening my eyes going, what just happened? Where am I right now? I love it. Love it. Absolutely.
You miss where she says, cut out the parasite, and there's scissor sounds.
There are scissor sounds, which I do like the scissor sounds.
You thought you could keep me alive! Cut out the parasite!
Okay, so what I will tell you is, we have, like, I don't know, 5 pairs of scissors in this house, and I went around to each of them because I was like, that, it's supposed to be scissors, but I want to see if I can make these scissors. I couldn't make them sound. The only way I could make that sound is by actually like running knives together, like, chef's knives. And so it was like, that's fun. Okay.
Oh, and by the way, you know what this breakdown is?
What?
It's guitar, bass, and drums. Yes,
Okay.
There's some little scissor sounds. Yes, there's some extra stuff a little bit, but it's not like the other songs that have strings and keyboards and like, no, it is just locked in guitar, bass, drum groove. And yeah, no notes. This song to me is like fantastic.
Yep. Now, I didn't take note of what lyrical lines within this song, but go back and read the lyrics to this song if you haven't, because I feel like this song is about abuse of some kind, abuse in a relationship, sexual abuse. I couldn't really nail down what it was, but there was, you know, I was reading the lyrics going, oh, like this is a very sad song.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was very interesting because it is such a fun song, and the way she sings it, the rhythm she has, all of it's great, but then it's very sad.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking through the lyrics now, and I definitely see what you're saying. But I also think that there is we're taking the power back part by her saying,
yeah.
I'm ripping out these button eyes. And yeah, there's a lot of dark stuff going on, but also a lot of like female empowerment going on. And I like that.
But it's also not, you know, we're females in a band and we're going to beat you over the head with it. It's more of like, we're females in a band and we're going to make a damn good album and we're going to say what we want to say. And I do feel like there's a lot of, you know, like I said before, I did read through the lyrics, going through this one. And so I do feel like there was a lot of, just aggression in the lyrics, but it was like well-placed aggression, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like this, especially like with the vocal delivery on these songs, I never felt like, except for one or two parts, did I ever feel like, oh, that's too much screaming, or gosh, it's just, you know, she's singing this entire time. I wish she would like add some screams. Like there's a really good balance. They balance it better than a lot of other bands do.
Okay. So you're talking about balance within, screaming and singing. So let's talk about a track with no singing.
Right.
Track 5, Priestess. Yeah, this one starts angry.
So here's what I wrote in my notes. I wrote, before this song started, I was thinking track 5 needs to go somewhere new. It either has to be a ballad or something brutal. And they chose the latter.
Yep. They chose brutal because if there was a metalcore tag on this album, this is that song. But it's more than that. I don't know. It's just crushing riffs and visceral lyrics and like in vocals. Yeah, it's just, yeah. This one's nasty.
It is. And I like it, but it's not one of my favorites.
Right.
And I think that has more to do with the guitars and the music more than the vocal delivery.
Okay, so one of the things that we've talked about plenty is that we don't mind a screamer. You know, we like screaming. In fact, we've liked the screaming on this album so far.
Yes.
But it's almost too much at this point because before this, we got used to screaming and clean vocal at different points. And that was a really cool thing they did. And so here they really took it in this like metalcore aggression territory. Fine. But the song pretty much maintains the same thing up until the bridge at 153.
Yeah, and
it doesn't change much.
And honestly, I kind of like the part right after that. It starts around 2:08, like right before the actual quote unquote breakdown happens, where I've said it before, I don't like it when they scream over like pretty music. But how about you just scream over nothing and it's just you screaming?
We change our word to our days. Label our chaos as disorder. Bury our trash from the grave. God has dead and we have killed her.
Right. It's a longer than normal dropout for
It
sure.
It is. And there's something really cool about that. Well, I was just going to say there's something really cool about that I like a lot. But then when the guitar and the music comes back in, I'm not feeling it.
Okay, so I have that the song kind of remains the same until 153. It's okay. You get that this is a big angry metalcore song. Fine. But it kind of gets a little stale considering all the tracks before this. It was like every, 10 seconds, we got something different, and that was a lot of fun. And here it's like, okay, we're going to maintain the same for almost 2 minutes. And then we're going to get a bridge. And, the bridge does what it does. And I don't have a problem with here. I don't love the bridge in the song, but I don't mind it. But then we get that longer than normal dropout, which was just a cool thing. I mean, I don't have a problem with it at all. And then I feel like after the bridge or after that scream part, it goes into a cinematic metalcore song.
Yeah. And I don't know, like I've heard that done so much now that it just doesn't really wow me. Like a lot of bands do that where they mix that kind of like classical production with those metalcore riffs, and it just, I don't know. I've never loved it or hated it, but I just feel like it's getting overdone now.
I'm sorry that I've brought more cinematic metalcore to you.
You've brought a lot of it to me. That is for sure.
I have.
Now, I will point out some lyrics here. I really do like the lyrics on the bridge here. I wrote this down. She says, "We built idols from her body, carved the shrines from her spine, sliced her into a digestible altar, then left her to rot in the light."
We built idols from her body, carved the shrines from her spine, sliced her into a digestible altar, then left her to rot in the light.
We chained her worth to our need, labeled her chaos as disorder, buried her truth from the creed. God is dead and we have killed her.
We chained her word to our knees, labeled her chaos as disorder, buried her truth from the creed. God is dead and we have killed her.
I don't know exactly what that means, but I feel it nonetheless.
It means like she's really being cryptic about saying that she really likes making peanut butter pie.
I don't know why, but I think that was sexist.
I'm sorry.
Hey, don't apologize to me. I don't know about Jules, but I've seen Jill do martial arts, so just watch out. And apparently one of them has a very sharp pair of scissors, so just be aware.
And they're going to cut out the parasite, which is my sexism. I never had. I don't know. Yeah, sorry, Jules and Jill. I got nothing. I don't know. Based off of the angriness of Priestess, I don't need it here.
No.
All right.
Back away slowly.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about track 8, let's talk about track 6, Omens. All right. So what you have said about, what we both agreed on with like Button Eyes, where it's like you just kind of were enjoying it more. I kind of felt that way in this one the first couple times, but then it started kind of wearing off of me. In fact, the stuttering synth line to open the song. I thought was a cool thing, but it kind of goes along with what you were just saying, that you've heard it a bunch. You've heard it a lot. And that's where I'm starting to feel in this one as this album goes on. I'm still enjoying it. I'm still having fun, but I don't know. I'm just kind of, okay. I mean, like, I really enjoyed this one. In fact, the first couple times I heard it, I thought, outside of a few parts, it's just holy bass, Batman.
So yet again, this is another example of the production getting in the way, because the opening riff is fine. I think when the verse comes in and she starts singing, I think her voice sounds great.
I feel you tested in the back of my neck, you sidestep and your eyes give envious.
She actually was reminding me a little bit of Miley Cyrus with some of, like, not necessarily a one for one, just kind of some of her tones and pronunciations reminded me a little bit of kind of the way Miley sings sometimes. But I like the music and it sounds really good. But the part that you're complaining about is that digital after the fact stutter additions that they put in all these nightclub core, metalcore production now. And it's like, you don't need it. You really don't need it. And those are the little things that keep this from being like wholly its own thing. Like those little things are the things that kind of, I don't want to say hold it back, but they are the things that keep me from just loving this from start to finish.
Yeah, I will say that there is this quick little bit before the chorus kicks in. It's just my favorite part. It's just this cool little thing. But this is also where I recognized it before, that they're going to lean on those sound clips and stuff. And this one felt interrupting in a lot of ways, to where when the first time I listened to this one in my car, I had to like check, like, did I have my GPS on? Because at 221, it says proceed to the route.
212.
Proceed to the route.
Sorry, I'm just off on my things. Anyway, I think it's big. It gets real big.
So again,
but it's almost too big, too cluttered.
Well, okay. So we do have, again, the beginning. They do this a lot where they sort of layer it. So when the breakdown first kicks in, it's not as muddy as it becomes as it goes on. But what I do like, I talk about this a lot, as tracks go on, you get deeper in your album, you start adding things that we haven't heard yet. Around 235, we actually get an acoustic guitar.
It's a dead end, nowhere to back out. Granite death wish, nowhere to turn now. For sure.
Which I thought was a nice little touch, especially coming out of Priestess, the last song being the heaviest on the record. Your next song kind of brings it down a little, but it's still real heavy, but you add some acoustic guitar in there. I just thought it was a nice touch.
It brings it down a little, but not enough, in my opinion. And this is where I wish they had really, I don't know, this is where I really started to feel that the track listing was just out of order. Because before this, it's just a fun album. It's just a ride. It's fine. But then it's like around track 5, is where you really need to start cementing what your album is going to be as far as the pacing goes. And this is where I would have really kind of taken this and either, bumped Omens back and put something else in this spot, which I'll talk about that when we get to it, but maybe flop, the next track. I don't know.
I was just thinking the same thing. I was thinking the next song has a very, it's kind of similar to this one where it has soft parts and heavy parts, but it has a very soft intro. So it wouldn't be a bad way. It wouldn't be bad to swap those two.
Right. Okay, let's just talk about it. Track 7, The Trial. We're just going to just run past Omens, and we're just going to talk about The Trial. Okay, the intro is a great change of pace of things.
I bleed in silence with your words cutting deep, manipulated.
Now, I don't know if Omens, track 6, was there to kind of give a step down to it. And this is where I'm having a little bit of confusion of this, but also at the same time, swap Omens and The Trial. But at the same time, would the intro to The Trial be too jarring, coming out of track 5? I don't know.
I don't think it would be. I think it would fit. I don't have a problem with these two in this order or the other way around. I think both fit, both make sense. This is one of the few times where the cinematic orchestral flares, I think, really work because the music is a little more open. I think when the choppier the music is, the more distracting some of the strings and production can be. But on like the intro to this song, I'm all in. Like, I think it sounds great.
Oh yeah, no, the intro was great here. But what I've learned already is that whatever sound we get, we're probably going to get the other sound, the other end of the other side of the coin, which happens at 30 seconds. That change of pace that we needed does come back, but I don't know like how long it was going to, it was a thing where it was like, I don't know how long these things are going to last at this point. Now I don't hate it, but that's fine.
I dig it. Like, that's what I was saying. Like, those guitars with those kind of strings work really well for me. And I was almost getting like Doom vibes. The guitar has that ardent core Mick Gordon kind of tone to it a lot of times. And that particular kind of riff with that particular kind of production was giving me that vibe. And I thought it sounded really good. I liked it. I kind of would have probably kept going with the clean vocal. I know that they go back to it, like she screams a little bit, then goes back to the clean. But I don't know. The screaming there felt a little bit like, again, sort of like the breakdown in that other song. Like, we have to do it. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's kind of what I'm having trouble with at this point, where it's just, I really like the chorus here, but then you're going to, do the other side of the vocals. And it's like, I know the other one is coming, and you're talented at more than just being big, being the screamer. Allow yourself to explore the talent that you have and put it here. Now, I didn't have a problem with the way it sounded, but I am having a problem with the way that they are, kind of repeating the sounds at this point.
Well, okay. So I was kind of with you, but then the second verse happens. And
the one at 148.
Okay, hold on. So before we get to that, because yes, abso-freaking-lutely, but before we get to that, I also like how when it comes back, there's this sort of like stuttery feel to the rhythm, and she's singing.
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, like it comes back and it's not as big. It's kind of more like just sort of a digital drum beat, and she's singing. And the line, "You've got a fetish for slip-knotted collars." Again, I don't know what that means, but every time I heard slip-knotted collars, I was like, does she got like Corey on a leash somewhere? Like, what is happening? Like, I got this weird. Okay, first of all, the guys in Slipknot are already in weird masks, but some other type of mask, perhaps?
Yeah. I don't know. I somehow I missed the slipknotted, what is it? Slipknotted what?
Collars, like around your
Collars.
neck.
Yeah. I'm thinking like slipknotted dog collar.
Like, what are we doing here?
It's some BDSM bondage.
Maybe,
shit,
but
Yeah.
you know me, I'm not going to miss the word Slipknot thrown out just all willy nilly. But then,
No.
to your point, 148. Yes. Where has this been? Do it more.
So at 148, is it Jill that does it or Jules that does the rapping?
I'm pretty certain it's Jill. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So at 148, Jill, if it is Jules and we got that wrong, then, forgive us, wild ladies. Yeah.
Search for peace, ignited a war. Poison the minds of the bloody with death as they charm. We are the ashes of oracles, we are the fire that will be restored.
I don't know why, but I don't think they'd like that.
I don't either, but either way. So yeah, Jill, word vomits, rap vocals in a very fast way, a way that, Buster Rhymes would be proud of.
I don't like the way you said that. You almost say it like negatively, like you don't think it's amazing and kicks a lot of ass.
Well, okay, so I don't think it's amazing. It kicks a lot of ass. I do think it's a really cool part to things, but it almost comes out so fast. It's just kind of hard to, hear it at all. And I didn't have to read the lyrics on that part, but, that's why I don't know how I missed Slipknotted Collars, but, cool. It's a fun part. And I think the thing that I like about it is that, while you love the rap parts, I don't love the rap parts, but they also don't last so long that I can dislike the rap parts.
I wish there was more rapping. I really wish there was more rapping.
I think that you wish that everybody rapped all the time, like in daily life, you make a sales call and the person answers the phone and says, "What's up?" And, you guys take off on your rap from there.
If I called somebody on a sales call and on the other end, they started beatboxing, dude, I wouldn't even care if I closed the deal. I'd be having a blast.
All right, so let's talk about the bridge. This is a big nursery rhyme moment. It's a nursery song box or song box in the nursery. I don't know what you call those things, but
oh god, he's having a stroke.
It's like you open it, it's got the ballerina like twirling around, and then you hear "Let's Play" at 3:06.
You can't burn the truth. Let's play.
I like the "Let's Play." I do like that. To your point though, this is like we're 7 songs in and we've heard this same move now 3 or 4 times. And it's cool. It works. Obviously they're trying to make it like their staple, their thing. But at this point, like you said, we've heard it. We get it. You know, like it's kind of like when we were talking about mindless self-indulgence on track 28 when he says MFer 15 times. We've heard it. We got it. Like, I do think it works. Like, I do think it sounds good. You know, again, so we haven't had a lot of rapping, so we're throwing in some rapping. We're doing something a little bit different. This song has a little different vibe to some of the other songs. But then it's like they felt like they had to put a music box, had to put a breakdown, had to put a sound clip. It's like, I guess, but you could have also just not done that and done, I don't know, anything, a little guitar solo, like something different.
Well, it's like we talked about on the Love and Death episode where you don't have to put a bridge in your song. You don't have to, but they do. And the bridge is what I think hurt that album the most to me. The bridge is on every song. Well, but that album was already hurting to me before that point. So anyway.
Again, because you don't like fun, but that's fine.
No, I don't like butt rock.
No. Be honest. You like being sad.
Let's talk about track 8, Half Alive. And for anybody wondering about the stylization that we were referring to earlier, half the letters in Half Alive are capital and half of them are lowercase.
Yeah.
I don't, why? But, it's fun for them. Whatever. I don't care. All right. Let's talk about that intro because it sounds like it could fit right into the mid-90s. It's a mid-90s mom rock song. It's almost giving me Gazebo WB Core vibes, but then it doesn't go that direction. I don't know. I had a hard time with this one because I felt like this one was mixed differently. It felt very muffled to me.
Button Eyes and Half Alive are tied for my absolute favorite songs on this album because for as much talk, so when we talk about nu metal, we often talk about the riffs, the bounciness, all of that. And that's all nu metal, absolutely. But another big part of nu metal is this right here. This to me is, spoiler alert, this to me is the most nu metal this album ever gets. Because not only does this have that sort of some groove and stuff later, but those chords, that cold feeling, that's exactly who it reminded me of. It was reminding me of bands like Cold and Flaw, and even like deeper stuff like One Side Zero and Taproot. And yes, like this spoke to me in a way that most albums in 2025 do not speak to me. Like this is a killer song.
If I were to have to say that this album has a ballad, I would actually say Half Alive is the ballad of it, but
agreed.
It's a heavier ballad at points, especially as the song goes on, but I don't know. I felt like this one was, mixed differently and I did struggle with that. And, it just felt, I don't know. This song is supposed to be about vulnerability. I get it because this song feels vulnerable.
It does.
Up until 308.
I didn't ask for this.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. So this song to me is, first of all, the guitar tone with her voice is just butter. Absolute butter, perfection, $1,000,000, no notes. I love it. And one of the things that I really like is, so when you're playing guitar, you play power chords. And if you're playing in drop D, your power chord is just the 2 strings on the same fret. But you can add this 7th note, which gives it this really warm feeling. And there's tons of those chords on this song. And I love that kind of voicing. And I love the way that sounds. So instead of, when it does go to that heavy 307 breakdown, it's still adding those like nu metal chords. It's not just a metalcore like syncopated chug. Like it has this extra, again, like I feel like they're purposely trying to get Deftones and Taproot. Like they're trying to match that. And I think they're nailing it, like just nailing it.
Yeah. And I'm not sure how much that is, Jules and Jill, or how much of it is, the, composition that was written here, or how much of them is them going, hey, we want it to sound like this, and actually, writing it.
Right.
And then I'm not really sure how much of that is there. And part of it goes into, I couldn't find who was playing on this album and whatnot. So, it's cool. But, I think the part about the breakdown that stuck out to me was actually how, and you kind of just hear a growl of some kind, but when you put on headphones, listen to it, you actually hear her say blah.
Yeah, there is a blah.
Yeah. I don't know. And this was one where I thought they just can't resist a breakdown. They just can't resist putting it in there.
To me,
I mean, I didn't mind it. I mean, I thought it sounded fine, but I don't know. This, I know you say this is like one of your favorite tracks, one of your 2 favorite tracks. This one is not to me because of how it's mixed. Like it feels like it was mixed under a pillow.
I see, and I don't hear that because I hear the type of guitar tone that they're going for. And I do agree that it is mixed a little bit different. I do agree with you there, but I think it's purposely meant to sound colder and more, like you said, vulnerable. Like this is supposed to feel a little thinner than the rest of the album, but I don't think it feels out of place. Like a matter of fact, when it first started, I got chills because it felt cold and it felt like what needed to happen on this album. I am so glad there is a song like this on the album. And to be honest with you, I would like to hear more of this. There is a band out right now called Bleed that sounds a lot like this. And
didn't you send me a Bleed song?
I did, and it has a very similar vibe to this. We'll probably do their new album at some point, but yes, like this is right up my alley. As much as I like Button Eyes, this is right there with it, because to me, this is, like you said, it feels like it could come straight out of the 90s, but also late 90s, like 2000, 2001. Like it sounds like so many new metal bands that I used to listen to every day of my life.
So I do feel like it takes on that sound, but I feel like it definitely opens with early mid 90s guitar tone and whatnot. And that's
a little bit.
Fine. Let's talk about track 9, Afterlife, featuring Magnolia Park. I've always been kind of curious about when a band or an album comes out and says, it's this song featuring this band, when it's really only one member of the band. It's really just the lead singer.
Yeah.
It's not the whole band. So I think it should say featuring so-and-so from Magnolia Park. I don't have his name. I didn't care to get it because, quite frankly, I don't love Magnolia Park either. I think they're fine, but yeah.
I don't know anything about them. They've popped up on, algorithms, but I couldn't tell you what they sound like. I'm assuming they sound a little bit like this.
Actually, I feel like this is heavier than their sound, but I'm also not super familiar with them, so I could be completely wrong on that. But they kind of have more of a pop punk, emo punk thing to them, and which is cool. I don't have a problem with. I love my emo, but what I do appreciate about this is, having a guest on. And it was the kind of, vocals in a song where it's like all the vocals are kind of, playing into each other and not, one person gets a verse and they share the chorus. The next person gets another verse. I kind of felt like it was all there. And the fact that the song starts with his vocals, I think it's cool. It's not like they came in saying, no, this is our album. We're going to be the first sound. No, he did it.
No, it starts with her.
Does it? I feel like that's him saying Afterlife. Audience, please tell me which one you think it is, because the clip is going to be right here.
Oh, okay. You're saying, I thought you meant the first verse. I'm sorry.
No.
It very well might be him at the very beginning. It's kind of digitized. It's hard to say for sure, but
the
first verse is her, but that's fine. I got you.
Yeah.
I don't mind his voice. It's fine. I just, I don't know. Like I've kind of got to the point where I'm kind of invested in these two. Like I don't really want another singer. I was almost like, go away. Like just let them do it.
Are you feeling like a third wheel?
No, like I feel like I'm like sitting in the room with them. Like we're all like having a good time together. And then this creep just like is invading on our vibe. I don't know. It's just, okay. Put it this way. I don't think I get it. Magnolia Park is, I guess, fairly well known. People have heard of them. They tour, they play big shows. So I think it was a name recognition thing. They're probably friends with each other. Sure, do a song together. That's fine. But like, to me, his voice doesn't add anything necessarily. Like, it would almost be cooler to me if you brought in, this is a wild stretch. I'm just throwing it out there. But if you had somebody like Alex Terrible, like a completely different kind of vibe to come in here, he just kind of sounds like them. You know what I mean?
See, I like his voice. I actually think this is a good pick for a collaboration here because I feel like he does compliment them without taking away from them. And it's not like he came in, and I feel like somebody like Alex Terrible would come in and it would be, that's who you have there. It's, this big voice, like the Falling in Reverse album. You couldn't miss it when Tech Nine and Alex Terrible showed up. You knew it was them. Whereas this, I feel like he was just kind of almost matching what they were doing.
Right. So
and instead of in a situation like, again, on Falling in Reverse, on the Jelly Roll song, it became a country song. Instead of the person coming in and just, kind of falling into what they're doing and matching what they're doing. And I think that's what he did here. I feel like he complimented them.
I have a better example. When Hardy...
Does it involve Falling in Reverse?
No, it doesn't. It involves Hardy joining Beartooth.
Tomorrow I'm gonna make changes, 'cause today I can barely speak. I know how to pull myself out, and it's gonna hurt like hell to set myself free.
That to me is better because he's got a distinct voice and he compliments. So I guess what I'm saying here is I don't know Magnolia Park. I'm not a fan. So this collab does nothing for me. And maybe if I was a bigger fan, like let's bring it into our world a little bit. Like we just mentioned, like Tyler Carter or Johnny Craig or like Tillian, like one of those guys that we are a little bit more familiar with, has a distinct voice, but all three of them are creeps. So obviously they wouldn't want to work with them.
Are you saying that somebody could look at it and say they want to be a part of your world?
What the hell is wrong with
Because you said put it over. Okay, so Magnolia Park has over 2 million monthly listeners on Spotify, which is cool. If that was part of their motivation for getting him, that's cool.
Wouldn't hurt.
No problem with that. Doesn't hurt at all. Okay, so I feel like we got more hip hop style vocals on this track. And I do feel like we got some more vocals that are more in your wheelhouse as far as that hip hop. And I actually had the note, Monster's gonna love the vocals here. I guess Monster didn't love the vocals here. I guess I was wrong on that assessment.
It's fine. Like I do like the verses better than the chorus because it does have a little bit more groove to it. It's just, I don't know. Like I feel like bringing in a male vocal was a cool move, but I wish they were like a deeper voice. Like I wish there was like more contrast with what we already have in the band.
That's fine. And I think it's funny that you pointed out the verse part, because I feel like the verses were the standout within this song because they got dancier.
Yes.
And it was almost like the verses were just more fun. Not that I wasn't enjoying the choruses and all, but those verses were just fun. So, okay. Once again, we get where they have to break it down, but I do like the dropout for the growl at 2:29. That's fun. Outside of that, I got nothing else on this one. I was going to say, I could do without the synth interruptions because I feel like it was a consistent synth line. It just kind of felt like it was like not a stutter. It was like just these like random things that happened to that song. I just didn't really like that part. Anyway, track 10, Infrared. All caps.
All caps.
All caps. Yeah. Afterlife was all caps as well. So I guess these two go together. I don't know. All right. That intro sounds like it could be a K-pop song.
Yes. So I actually to me, this sounds like if Hot Topic put on a musical.
That's fair, because I said that intro feels like it could be a K-pop song, and then we dance.
Yes. But again, track 10, I think after track 8, these last 3 songs, again, talking about the track order, I think is very deliberate. I think they did a good job here because track 8 is your slowdown. Then track 9, you bring in a ringer, you bring in a special guest, and then track 10, you go in a completely different direction we haven't heard yet. This has, I won't say we haven't heard it completely because it does harken back to Living Dead because it does have more of like a dancey vibe to it, but it feels very unique to this album.
I don't know. This actually is in my top songs on the album because I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny that you say, what'd you say? If Hot Topic did what?
If Hot Topic put on a musical.
Yeah.
Because it feels
Cool.
very upbeat and like musical theater, but it still has that dark fishnet feel to it.
Yeah. I actually said that this feels like a snarling dance song.
Yeah. And
yeah,
totally
it's
cool
fun.
with that.
Yeah. I actually really enjoy this one. Almost the entire thing, but I do really enjoy this one. It just kind of all sounds the same once it starts breaking down towards the end, but I don't know. It's almost like I would say the first 2/3 of all of these songs are just really solid.
Yeah. So on this one, I think the chorus is solid.
I can't separate from the dark. Every step away leaves a scar.
I love the verses because the verses have these cool little chord progressions and this dancey beat that I think is really cool. And then at 2:18, huge Lady Gaga vibes again.
Hollowed out by gods who won't show their face. So I built altars from my infinite ache. Reclamation in the dark, expel the shame.
And just eating that up. Like, absolutely, I was all in for that.
Okay, so here's actually what I have on that. So I put the bridge starts at 2:11, which is a nice change, but then 2:18, it becomes a new metal Lady Gaga song that Monster is going to eat alive. Like, he's going to love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you know me so well.
I do. And the thing is that I didn't hate that part, but I was having so much fun with the first 2/3 of the song that I don't know, that happened. It's like, we have to do this.
Well,
but yeah,
it's what they do after the Lady Gaga part that makes me feel that way.
Reclaim my sovereignty.
Because, again, it's like I knew there was going to be a breakdown because there has to be at this point. And yes, I think that double kick thing is really cool for how heavy it is and whatnot, but we don't need it. Like, this is not this isn't a song that needs a breakdown. Like, we're having such a good time with this. Just do something else fun. Like, why does it have to go to that?
Well, they do something else fun. Because this song, I feel like, has probably my favorite ending on this entire album. Because it's a very 80s synth, almost 8-bit ending that we get here.
I do like the outro. Again, I just wish there was just a little something. I don't know. I feel like the bridges and the breakdowns on these songs are very predictable and repetitive. And the rest of the songs are not. Like you said, 2/3 of every one of these songs is great. And every once in a while, the breakdown bridge section also gets it right. But oftentimes, those are the parts that I'm like the least into.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so I've talked about the track listing quite a few times, and you've talked about how it's fine and blah, blah, whatever. I think that this song should have closed this album. I think that this should have been the last song. I do not think the track 11, Persephone,
I was all yours for the taking, but now only yours for breaking. You claimed an abduction, but I stepped through the gate.
should have been the closing track here. I think that this track should have been bumped up, maybe, after the trial. Because the trial, I feel like we get closer to this sound in the beginning of that song than anywhere else in this album. And I actually feel like a great thing to do would have been to put the trial into this song before Omens. Because that would have really given us a break from, the heaviness of track 5, Priestess, the angriest track here. And then we would have ended this album on this fun, dancey track with this 8-bit ending. And it just kind of would have closed out there. And then the physical copies have Sleepwalker on it, which I highly advise you to go check out. I think it's probably, I feel like it should have been on this album. Great song.
I mean, if it's half as good as most of the songs on this album, I will really enjoy it. So I will definitely.
I think you will.
As soon as we end this, I will probably watch the video for it. So hearing you say all that, I actually, I'm with you. I'm behind you on that, because this is the type of song that's on a lot of these type of albums. I get why it's here. I get why it's last. I don't like this kind of song. Like this just isn't my kind of music. Like, I totally get why it's here, like I said. But yeah, if we would have ended with Infrared on that kind of more upbeat vibe, it would make, put it this way, a lot of times, regardless of how much fun we're having on an album, the last song has a real big impact on your overall feel of it. And
it does.
This album is a lot of fun for as dark and as like aggressive as it is. And I know a lot of the lyrics deal with some pretty rough topics. This is still fun. There's a lot of bounce and groove, but you end like this and it kind of makes you think, did I have fun? Like, was I having a good time? And again, I understand having a song like this and needing to end this way, but I don't know. I actually agree with you a lot. I think if Infrared was the last song, and the way you moved it around made a lot of sense too. So,
okay. So this song, I like these kinds of songs more than you do, but every time I listen to this song feels like it was written in every way for a 2000s vampire movie.
I can see that.
Yeah. It fits there, you know, where it does get heavier at 217. You even have that part of it, like have that be the, the crescendo of the scene or whatever, the climax of the scene. And that would have been a fine move, but I don't hate this song by any means. I understand, that it needs to be here. I feel like this was a therapy move for them, and I'm tired of people recording therapy and us having to listen to it. But, if that's what it is, that's fine. It does get heavy there at 217. The song is 350. And so it comes down at the very end. But at this point, you've given me this kind of a track as the closer to your album. I've just kind of lost the fun mood that I was going with. I don't hate this one by any means, but I don't like it here.
Given what you said and given my personality, I think if there was, like you said on the physical copity. Good Lord. I don't know what copity means, but it sure does have a nice ring to it.
I like copity. So
I kind of do too. It makes me think about bunny rabbits.
It makes me okay. It's when you are trying to also do a hop. So you are copying a hop. You're copity.
Yes. There. I'm glad we spent this time elaborating.
And you know what? I want to thank anybody who listened to that. So.
But to your point about what you said about the song Sleepwalker.
Yeah.
Okay. Sleepwalker.
I'll send it to you when we're done recording so you can.
I have a feeling that if there was one more song that was in that vein of that vibe to end it out, I would like that better as well. But like you said, this makes sense as a closer. I get why it's here. It's just not for me.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, Monster, I want you to tell me what is for you and tell me what's new with you.
Hey, good looking. Cooking.
So there's a lot of new on this album. More so like the new core, but classic old school nu metal, Half Alive. That song to me just spoke to my soul in a way that a lot of these songs just didn't. Like, I think this is a lot of fun. I really like this album, but that song in particular made me like stop and sort of like transport to a different world. Like it really hit me hard. I think it's a wonderful song and a great example of a modern band playing more classic nu metal. So Danger, what's cooking?
I feel like the first 2/3 of most of these songs are actually good to cook to, but I really felt like Living Dead was the best one in the kitchen. It was just a fun, dancey one. A lot of this album has dancey moments within it, but that one just stuck out to me.
Nice.
So, all right. I don't feel like either one of us are going to be overly negative about this album. So would you like me to go first, or do you want to go first? Do you want me to flip a coin? I don't even have a coin. Right.
Let's see. Last week
I could download a coin flip app on my phone.
I'll go first because last week you went first. Okay. 0.Genesis by The Pretty Wild is right up my alley. Huge riffs, bouncy rhythms, and some seriously gnarly breakdowns. Not to mention plenty of nu metal influence. Both vocalists have range and power and dynamics, and there are some really solid lyrics on this album as well. I love the rapping sections. My only complaints are the production and the repetitive nature on parts of this album. As much as I like the breakdowns and heavy sections, the songs start to become predictable after a while. And while I do like some of the orchestral flourishes and beepy boopy moments, there are times I just really wanted to hear the guitars and drums lock in and pummel me without all the extra stuff. But those are very small complaints in the grand scheme of things. While some of the songs do follow a lot of the same patterns, there is enough dynamics and unique moments in each song that it never feels like I'm hearing the same song twice. I see The Pretty Wild on a handful of tours as one of the openers. In my opinion, in a lot of those cases, the bands they are opening for should be opening for them. This album is solid and a lot of fun, and I'm glad Danger made me listen to it. 1 to 10, I said 7.41.
All right. I really wasn't sure if you were going to go that high.
Yeah, I kind of, as always, as we do this, I'm thinking about the number in my head and going back and forth. And that's about right for me, I think, because there's not a single song on here I just don't like. And the ones that I don't like as much don't bother me when they're on. But there's 2 songs on here that I'm dying to listen to right now. Just from us talking about them, I can't wait to go back and listen to them again. And most albums don't have that. So that alone is going to give it some extra cred. But yeah, I'm comfortable with that. So anyway, Danger, why don't you give us your closing statement?
I have talked about for a long time how it's going to get harder and harder to categorize bands. We have definitely seen many bands mixing many genres. How we have to find some genre to label any band is just a way that we can feel better talking about them, so we can put them into a box. 0.Genesis is not an easy one to categorize. It blends metalcore, nu metal, electronic elements, pop sensibilities, and touches of nursery into something that isn't afraid to be adventurous. This album is a theatrical journey. The Pretty Wild show range, shifting from aggression to sweet melodies at times, and all of that without losing any momentum at all. Which is part of my issue. When it gets nice and pretty, I know it's going to get big and ugly soon, and this is on every song. I like both parts, but it's okay to just be one thing. If you like music that is going to shy away from any of the genre norms and give the pretty and the ugly, this is a record worth diving deeply into. I would say that this is a standout for its theatrical edge alone. I gave this a solid 7.
I was getting ready to say before we started, I had a prediction in my head that you and I might be closer on this album than we've been on just about anything recently.
Yeah.
We were.
Sometimes we're like, I think there's been actually looking at my list here, Bad Omens, we both gave that a solid 7. That was early on, though.
That was before we got weird.
Yeah. No, so, I mean, there are some that we've gotten really close to each other on. Actually, looking at it now, when we did Frank Ocean, you gave that a 6.39. I gave it a 6.88. So there are a few times that we are very similar or close to each other, but there's times where we're not close to each other at all.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I scored that a little higher than I should have because I was trying to impress Andreas. That's what was happening there.
Okay. All right. So Monster gave the pretty wild 0.Genesis a 7.41, and I gave it a solid 7, which gives an overall average of 7.205, putting it into the 26th position, just above Lady Gaga and just below Bad Rabbits.
Oh my God. I would sell a kidney. I would. Yes, Tor, please, God.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that, I was like, Monster's going to be all over that show.
Wouldn't that be amazing? God, wouldn't that be so much fun?
I feel like the Pretty Wild goes a little bit too heavy for Lady Gaga, and I think they probably tour with Lady Gaga just for the opportunity alone, but I think Bad Rabbits is too wedding bandy for either of them.
Baby Metal toured with Lady Gaga.
True. If you disagree with the score that we have given this album, then please send us an email at breakdownsbreakfast@gmail.com or head on over to one of our social media platforms and let us know what you thought about this episode if you would like for us to review an album in the future. And all those are Facebook, X, and Instagram. I put that completely out of order. Yeah.
It's fine. It's not like we've done 120 of these. Like, we're just winging it. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
Yeah. We should have a rhythm down at this point, but
you would think so. But hey, Danger.
Yes, Monster.
What did the pecan say to the walnut?
What?
You know why we're friends? We're both nuts.